Hello, I'm Cody Goggin, and this week on the Saturday Show, we have a very special themed episode planned for you. We're talking about a movie that has affected my life in every facet, and some music that is among my very favorite. We're talking about Eddie and the Cruisers. The film Eddie and the Cruisers was based on a book written by author P.F. Cluj and was brought to the screen in 1983. Directed by Martin Davidson, who had previously worked with Sylvester Stallone on The Lords of Flatbush. The structure of the Eddie and the Cruisers movie would be based upon the film Citizen Kane and would feature a story set both in the 1980s as well as one set in the 1960s. New Jersey music legend Southside Johnny would be hired as technical advisor for the film. But the movie's indelible soundtrack would be written and performed by John Cafferty and the Beaver Brown Band. The character of Wendell Newton in the film would even be portrayed by the real sax player from the Beaver Brown Band, Michael Antunes. Michael Pare would be discovered working as a chef and was offered the lead role of Eddie Wilson. Tom Berenger would star as the piano-playing Frank Ridgway. When the film was released, it was a commercial failure at first. It wasn't until the movie began appearing on early HBO and cable replays that it gained a cult following. The movie found a status of its own, and the soundtrack became an enormous hit, with On the Dark Side still featured on classic rock radio to this day. Eventually, it would lead to a sequel being made, and while Eddie and the Cruisers 2 did not have the critical or commercial success that the first movie had, it is also one of my personal favorite films. It too has an amazing soundtrack by John Cafferty, and it's here that we come to our highlighted player of the week. John Cafferty formed his band out of Rhode Island, and they were a popular club band in the New Jersey area, a la Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band, during the 1980s. With the success of Eddie and the Cruisers and the hit song On the Dark Side, Cafferty and the Beaver Brown Band would find themselves rocketed forward. They would find their music appearing in movies such as Cobra, starring Sylvester Stallone, and again in Rocky IV during one of the film's montage scenes. But their third album, Roadhouse, would find sales lacking, and the soundtrack for Eddie and the Cruisers 2 would be the band's last release of new material as of this episode. Over the years, the films have cast both a shadow and a spotlight on Cafferty and his music. Forever associated with Eddie and the Cruisers, the Beaver Brown Band has continued to thrill small clubs in the Jersey area and around the country for decades. Their songs have featured in other films, and On the Dark Side is a radio staple. I personally hope John Cafferty gets to release new music again someday. It breaks my heart to think that he hasn't released a new record in over 25 years. His songs are timeless, and they've affected me in a profound way. Now, let's talk about Eddie and the Cruisers 2. The sequel to Eddie and the Cruisers was released in 1989 and was made by the studio in an effort to capitalize on Cafferty's music and the success that the first film was having on HBO. It was made quickly, taking just around 30 days to film. The movie's climactic concert at the end was filmed during a real-life Bon Jovi concert in order to get such a large audience on screen. The movie features Michael Pare back as Eddie Wilson, but only Matthew Lawrence returns as original Cruisers bassist Sal Amato. It also features appearances from Larry King and iconic musician Bo Diddley. The film was not well received, and the Scotti brothers, who produced the movie, were criticized for only trying to sell soundtrack records. But I personally find the movie very interesting, and the soundtrack to be incredibly strong. I've always wished they would make a follow-up to both movies, and bring the entire story full circle between Eddie and his new life, and Frank Ridgway and the rest of his old band. Both films hold a special place in my heart, and are still popular today. You can still find them playing on TV, and still hear Cafferty's amazing music on the radio. It tells a rock and roll story, a timeless story, like the myth that Elvis Presley still lives, or that Paul McCartney really died. These rock and roll myths are as important to the genre of music as anything else. It's a bit like magic, really. Today, for Album of the Week, we're looking at Tough All Over by John Cafferty and the Beaver Brown Band. Tough All Over was released between the two Eddie and the Cruisers movies, and was an attempt by Cafferty to distance himself from the first film. It features synthesizers and new original songs written by the band, such as the title track, which climbed to number 22 on the Billboard charts, and thus became the band's third top 40 hit. Also featured is the song C.I.T.Y., which climbed to number 18 and again broke the top 40. Voice of America's Sons would be selected to appear on the soundtrack of Cobra by Sylvester Stallone. The album was later released with an alternate cover that seemed to suggest that it was really recorded by a band called Eddie and the Cruisers. But the album is now often overlooked in favor of the Cruisers movie albums. At the time of release, it was looked at as attempting to replicate the sound of Bruce Springsteen. But both bands have similar origins, and Cafferty's voice is unmistakable here. It features great songs with hooks that get stuck in your head, and showcases the strength of the entire Beaver Brown Band. If you haven't explored the other music by John Cafferty and the Beaver Brown Band, Tough All Over, as well as its follow-up, Roadhouse, I definitely recommend you give them both a try. Again, I wish all the time that John Cafferty would release a new record. I guess only time will tell if the band records again. Their music has left an impact on me that I can hardly describe, and will always be a guiding light with what I try to do with my own music. Up next is a live musical performance, so please don't go anywhere. And thank you for watching another edition of The Saturday Show. I swear I see the light fire in your eyes, and I am never letting go. I swear it's different this time, and I just hope that you know. Well, I've been breathing, you've been reaching. Every time I turn away, I start screaming. It's not the way it's supposed to be. Well, I've been changing, you've been changing. Everything looks so damn strange, and I'm just hoping that it's not me. It's not me. And I feel the fire in my lungs. I know it's never going out. I feel the smoke pierce my heart. There was never any doubt. Well, I've been breathing, you've been reaching. Every time I turn away, I start screaming. It's not the way it's supposed to be. Well, I've been changing, you've been changing. Everything looks so damn strange, and I'm just hoping that it's not me. It's not me. Take your time and take it slow. Take your time, 'cause it's all you know how to do. Well, Oh, I've been reaching, you've been breathing. Every time I turn away, I start screaming. It's not the way it's supposed to be. Oh, I've been changing, you've been changing. Everyone looks so damn strange, and I'm just hoping that it's not.